First of all, I'd be remiss not to acknowledge the fact that there's a giraffe behind you.
Yeah, I mean, this beats the typical ballroom hotel junket.
I mean, it's pretty incredible. I mean, Disney magic, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Your boy John Chu is doing pretty well right now, huh?
Sure is.
To see what he did with In the Heights and now, of course, Wicked, it does beg the question, have there been talks with him about a Hamilton movie?
No, not really.
Okay, well, there should be.
I think that, for me, I've always said, I'm so proud of how Tom McHale was able to capture Hamilton at the Rogers.
Alexander Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton.
Everyone in the world can see that on Disney Plus, and it would take a really good vision from a director to convince me that Hamilton could be adapted, because these things aren't easy.
It sounds like you know a guy.
Wicked took 20 years.
That's true. It took a long time.
It took a long time. We're hitting our 10th anniversary next year. So
of when it first premiered off Broadway. I believe.
Yeah. So give it 10 years.
I was gonna say not 20 though, right? It's not gonna take 20 years, is it?
I mean, I'm open, but I haven't yet heard a take that has made it a thing.
Being that we're hitting 10 years since Hamilton first premiered off-Broadway, what do you remember about that time, and how has it been for you to see that almost a decade later it's still a hit?
It's extraordinary. I think for me, what's wild is my oldest son turned 10 in November of this year. He was born 2 weeks before rehearsal started. So he's this mile marker for me of how that show has continued to live in the world and continues to kind of reverberate and come back in interesting and surprising ways. Like every day of my life, there's some reminder. But I remember at the time, I really kind of wrote the thing in public. Like I premiered the first song at the White House.
Right.
I was like kind of giving people updates on Twitter. I'm like kind of abashed at how public I was while I was writing it.
Yeah, it was no
to the
secret.
point where I think there was a community of people invested in seeing the show and seeing it succeed because they'd followed my journey
from the ground
in writing it. And then I think the day I realized this was going to be different than anything else that had happened in my career was we were announcing our second extension before we had opened. We just kept selling out every time we put tickets on sale. We announced our second extension, and Oscar Eustace, who runs the Public, came in and said, "You broke the phones. We've had the website crash before. We've never had the phones crash."
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, we know what happened.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have a secret, Mufasa. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother.
I mean, you are joining an incredible lineage of artists who have contributed music to the Lion King universe. Elton John, Tim Rice, Lee Boehm, Beyonce. How's it feel to join their company?
Pretty exciting, honestly. I got a lot of questions whether it's intimidating, but I just feel like that original score and those original songs are so immortal.
It means no worries for the rest of your days.
It's our problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata.
And then there's been so much great stuff in the Lion King universe since the Broadway musical,
Right.
the Genius work by Julie Taymor.
Which I was listening to on the way here.
I mean, Beyonce's Inspired By album, which I feel like expanded the vocabulary of like what a Lion King song could sound like.
Can you hear it calling?
A companion soundtrack too.
Yeah, so I just felt like there was a lot of space to play.
And you played, didn't you?
Yeah.
Was it fun for you? Was it nostalgic? Was it full circle?
It never felt nostalgic because it was a new story.
That's true, yeah.
And so I just felt like I was in service of Barry's vision. The script was great to the point where half the song titles are actually started as lines of dialogue.
Okay.
So I always wanted a brother, Tell Me It's You. Like these were all just great lines in the movie, and I was
Yeah.
like, taking that. That's a great song title.
All you needed was a little inspo, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of, I mean, you wrote 7 songs for this film, first of all. And being that you're a dad to 2 boys, did you draw inspiration from those
Yeah,
boys too?
I
your
didn't have
sons?
trouble writing how brothers interact
Yeah.
because I have 2 brothers bouncing around my apartment at any given time. So yeah, that was actually a wonderful kind of world or relationship I hadn't gotten to explore in my writing
Sure.
that I suddenly had access to.
What was the song that you were most proud of when it was completed?
Ooh, that's tough. I really love the ballad. I grew up in the era of the romantic Disney ballad.
Right.
Like I'm a Little Mermaid.
Part of your
Kiss
world.
the Girl.
Yes.
Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, whole new world thing.
Yeah.
So I just like, and Moana didn't have time for that. She had a lot to do, and Encanto had too much like generational
You're
trauma to work
right.
through. So to get to write like an old school romantic ballad was really fun.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right. You haven't had a chance to do a romantic duet yet.
Yeah.
And it finally happened in
I wanted
this.
to get my Peebo Celine Dion on.
And you got it.
Yeah,
You got
exactly.
it. In fact, you know what? What do you remember about the first time you watched The Lion King or, heard its music?
Yeah, I mean, the first time I heard its music was like most people in 1994. It was actually probably Christmas 93 because the trailer came out.
Yeah.
And it was probably the greatest marketing flex in the history of movies.
Remind
They
me?
just showed the first 4 minutes of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't like a trailer, it was sunrise. Nah! And they just showed a circle of life, and we were all transported. We all quickly realized this was uncharted territory for
Yeah.
animation, and certainly for Disney. And that incredible song by Elton John and Tim Rice played, and we were all like, yeah, we're going to see that movie.
Yeah, we're going.
Yeah, so I saw it like probably like waiting for another movie and just like, what was that? What just happened to us?
How important was it to you and Barry to kind of pay homage to that and make sure that there was kind of this big moment at the top of the piece?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I asked Barry was, can I work with Le Boheme on the music for this? And I really wanted him and Mark Mancina, who I'd worked with on Moana, to work on the arrangements
Yeah.
because that's the first voice you hear is Lebo's voice.
Yeah.
I think he's the secret sauce. I think he's the reason for the success of the Broadway musical.
Yep.
Like all the new songs in the Broadway musical were really based on his music. He Lives in You, Shadowlands. So I just knew I needed him in my corner,
Yeah.
and that was essential.
You're a smart man.